Okay, that's good. Can we? Yep, that's good. So I just had to check Discord channel. Wasn't showing that it was actually coming through. On YouTube, is it all? Am I all good to go? Is the sound okay? Ah, no, sorry, I just saw. Hey Nathan, Nick, how are you guys? Let me just disconnect something. There we go. All right, so bit of action today. I was just looking at this potentially failing off here, but I haven't got a position on it. This is a Dow. Um, Stupidly enough, I was looking at this weakness in here. You got knocked down, but there's a key level here. Through was it 26.620 thereabouts. I was expecting more, like I wrote in the plan for this morning that we sent out. If this level is going to hold, you want some sort of complex correction to play out. You don't want just you don't expect just to ramp up. So if you sort of buy on these extensions up into the a previous high, it's only on the 5-minute chart. Don't forget this extension here. You're probably going to get chopped around. You'd expect the market to be a little bit choppy now, just because we flushed down through there, and that was at 6:30. Yeah, I think that was in the close of the US. If I remember, the US closed about 8, I think, or 7. I can never quite remember now. And it hangs things offline at 6 a.m. I'm not exactly sure when the US futures close. But either way, we had that big flush down and we got supported again. There's more of this move up and then that flush down again and then just started to lift. So I was going to go long here. I just don't like my risk. Where's my risk? 68 down to 568, 6. That's nearly 100 point. If you're trading this little extension here into this high, I find it very tough. You've got quite a large risk there, and it has rallied since then, which is great. It's nearly 100 point rally on that Dow, but tough gig. The markets at the moment, you just got to have wider stops. Obviously, there's going to be a bit more risk involved, but I would expect the Dow to be a little bit choppy today. And after that, the last few sessions, it was massively down last night. Um, some big moves. So if we get some sort of higher low holding in here, potentially, it might be it leads us back up through these highs, and we flush out those highs by a good amount, potentially up to here again. These highs, that's from early hours in the morning, 3 a.m. Maybe we get that flush up here before we have another pullback. So, like I said, expect a bit of a complex correction. If we start to get some bargain hunters dragged into the market, they're going to get suckered in potentially, and then the market could dump on them again and squeeze them back out. But it could go straight back into this key support. So that's what I've been looking for on the Dow, but we'll see how that goes. Now, Nikkei, again, I was looking for a bit of a break here. I honestly didn't trade it. Couldn't tell you why. Just getting sidetracked with a few other things that personal things on the cards at the moment. So just trying to get a few things organised. It's really taking the eye off the ball just this stage. But that was, you can see, we've got this flush low into the close. It took out the lows, but that's probably people who buying it here, buying it up and looking for that break up, like spike in the close, got caught out and just bailed, which is just selling back into the market. We just took out the lows, finished down here, and we've basically opened back above those lows, which are earlier in the session. Say, just after the US Open here, 1 o'clock, 2:30, and then again sort of at 4:15, and then obviously got broken there, but we're back above there and just seen the way it opened, a couple of good candles, bit of a pullback. We were trading around here at that stage, thought if we do break up, we could be heading towards these highs. We went straight through them. Didn't expect that kind of a strength. But yeah, the Nikkei is kind of notorious for obvious level, smash it. Either way. So the markets, we've got the lower high here, market looked negative. People were expecting it to sell off down here. It didn't just turn around and retrace them all. So it's just a big squeeze. at this stage. The SPY, I was really, I did, where did I have a long? I had a long up here. I was expecting that, and I know it was late. Momentum was up. I was expecting that from the open. Now we had this bit of a pause, pullback. I was expecting the ASX not to quite open, expecting down 100 or so on the ASX. I wasn't, thinking that it wasn't going to open as negative. And from yesterday when we opened down and rallied quite hard, that might have been in the back of people's memories. And I was looking at this being an obvious level for a squeeze, a short squeeze. We've got sellers would be off that level with buy stops basically above. So I thought that there was a good chance going long in here, we're going to squeeze that, but it just didn't go anywhere. And I was quick to take it off for probably a 6-point loss, 5-point loss, I think. In the end, it was trying, but someone kept hammering it down, knocking it down. They were trying to protect that level. Basically, there would be a lot of stops packed in there, and probably someone doesn't want that to trigger just yet. But anyway, we had had to sell off. I did get short in here, wrote it down a bit, so all in all, not too bad. It's just the same. I was looking for this kind of expansion here. You've got this W pattern up. You've got a high low in here, so that's that kind of high low leads you to believe you're going to break through that level. Okay, and it did. Did break through there and rallied up there, but I wasn't watching it there. It's the same as when the other markets were starting to move. So yeah, it's a good push higher. This could be the time when we jam up through that resistance and trigger all those stops. The market seems to be it's bullish at the moment. Let me just look at something. It seems to want to do it, but we'll see. ASX bounced back, it's down 77. It was down over 100 not long ago. So big flush in the open, stops are triggered left, right, and center. I know we got triggered on one at AMI, which is good. PNV, which is Polynovo, closed at 275. It's back. It actually pushed down on the open. It's bounced back quite well. That's looking really strong. I still think that's going to chug away through 3. Potentially, as long as it gets through here cleanly at 275, we can get through to potentially 3 up to 310, 20, those highs. We'll see how that goes because that's got some strength in it. But again, I mean, if this market US keeps melting down, you've got to remember we're doing better than them. The US for a long time they've been open and their cases have been rising and they refuse to close, especially Trump into elections. He doesn't want to do that. So that was probably naturally expected, something like that to happen. The case to go up. Same with Europe, they opened maybe too early, maybe a bit prematurely. But unless there's if there's going to be no vaccine, there's going to be no, end to it. Really, you know that cases are going to tick up again. You just can't expect it to go away. And now they've sort of going back into lockdown. I think it was France and Germany talking back in lockdown for a month. That's really knocked the market around, knocked Europe down on the open. They gapped down and kept going down. DAX was down quite hard. US flowed on from that, so they got some negative sentiment from the night before. But I still think when you look at the US dollar, I'll get that up. The US dollar, where are at the moment? It's money on the 5-minute chart. But the US dollar, it did rally. We know that, but it wasn't, a severe run higher. This looks pretty good, but I think a lot of people would be, it's stimulus based. Right? So everyone's waiting to see what happens with stimulus because we know it's got to come. I mean, if you're going to go, the US is going to have some more problems. They need to keep their economy going, and they've basically been doing that by just printing money. So everyone's still focused on that. It's just a bit of a squeeze. It's a good opportunity. Any nervous shorts on the US dollar? Everyone was expecting something to happen. Okay, in the way of an agreement on stimulus between the Democrats and Republicans, but they've been mucking around. More interested in their politics and votes than anything else, and they've been bantering around, as we know. So, just 1 second, I've got to. It's funny. I've got the 2 phones. One's for work, one's personal. But the work one's a what do you call it? A bought. I can't remember what they're called now. And it's just good. Someone named Samantha used to own that card. I keep getting messages. Thank you, Samantha. No, not right, not the right person. Call me Samantha if you will. Okay, so we've got, we were saying US dollar. So we know about stimulus. They need it. I'd be pretty certain that they're going to print it. Because it's hinges on the elections. You don't know who's going to win. It's actually getting close, and there's a lot of states where it's very close run. And so even though Biden's looking like he's going to win, I think he's 10% up or whatever they call it. But it doesn't mean that he's going to win. We were thought that about Trump last time, and he turned around and won. So because that's still unknown, it leads to a bit. It's unknown what we're going to get for stimulus because Trump has always talked about he doesn't want as much. He's been bargaining, been mucking around, and it's only just coming into elections when he probably realised he couldn't get it through that he was turned around and said, "I'm going to go big," and that's just politics. That's just rubbish, So if you're looking at it that way, if he gets in, we may not get the stimulus we need, or the US may not get the stimulus, not us. The US may not get the stimulus they need, but if the Democrats get in, especially if they get a clean sweep, they shouldn't have much issue with getting through stimulus, and they would probably pump out 2.2 trillion or something. So the US dollar is going to be weighed down by that. So I don't see that US dollar is going to get out of hand on the upside with safe haven buying. So we had nearly down, a 900 point, 1,000 point down on the Dow. And although it did rally, that's probably more these late shorts getting squeezed out than anything else. Longer term shorts still holding in on the dollar anyway. So yeah, I'm sort of looking at that thinking, okay, if that's the case, we would expect a Biden victory to weigh on the US dollar and head south again, which you get commodities start to rally again, especially if they start pumping out more stimulus. Then, in a week's time, we could have wiped off this 1,000 point drop or this negativity from the last couple of days. And coming into elections, because you just don't know, it's not clear uh, who's going to win. Then it's not clear on stimulus. It's not clear on anything at this stage. So there's going to be some profit taking, and maybe it's just getting out of hand a bit. So yeah, there's a few things when it's in the coming days, I think, isn't it? It's a couple of probably next week. I think it's meant to be the third, second or third. So what day is that? The third is Monday, Tuesday. Us anyway. I don't know if that's our time. It's on the third. They're recounting. So yeah, I'm not ready to dive into any big positions just yet because I mean it could turn around that Trump wins and he's going. No, that's it for. We're not going to go into lockdown. People, the numbers are going to rise. We're trying to open up the economy, and we're not going to fund it because people got to get back to work. That could be his theory, and then all of a sudden, I would expect the markets to take a bit of a nosedive because stimulus being the support over the last few months is potentially not going to be there, and we've all factored in another $2 trillion in the US. Everyone, and if it looks like we're not going to get it, what's the market going to do? The US dollar probably will rally, pressure on all your commodities. It's going to nail those. Gold's going to get nailed. Gold got nailed last night. And everyone thinks gold should rally because it's a safe haven. It's not at the moment. It's just a currency. It's another currency. It's going the same as the US. Sorry, Aussie, Euro. Euro heads south when the US goes up. Same with gold at this stage. That could change, obviously, but it's been treated as a currency. You devalue the dollar, it should rally, and that's probably what's got it the big rally previously, but everyone's caught looking at that rally going, oh, we're going to come back because you're either a gold bull or you're not. You're not interested. I don't think there's any gold bears really. Everyone sort of looks at it, goes safe haven buying, but the US dollar is safer than gold. And what does gold give you? If you're buying the US dollar, essentially you're buying bonds. You get an interest rate, and you're supported by the government. I don't know what you get if you buy gold. I mean, how is it? I've just never fully understood that. You buy it as a hedge to what? Because traditionally gold's gone up. I mean, we're moving away from a gold-backed society, I guess, or gold-backed currency to being, there's no way there's enough gold to support. Say, we all know that the run on the banks, if there's a bank, everyone wants their money out, you can't because there's not enough gold to supply, well, what do they call it, to support it. But generally, well, I probably got that completely wrong. I'm just trying to, in my head, work it out. And what they're talking about, the gold as a hedge doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know what you're hedging. You're purely hedging it because traditionally it's gone up, but if it doesn't, you'll get screwed on your hedge because it still is a currency. It's based in US dollar terms now. For US dollar rallies, like anything else, whatever the pair is going to get sold down, or if it doesn't move, it's going to go down. So currencies generally, you either say the Aussie US, it's going to move because of the Aussie, people buying or selling the Aussie, or buying or selling the US dollar. So one of those, you've got those four factors essentially: up down of one, up down of the other. So if they're buying the Aussie dollar and the US dollar's doing nothing, against other currencies, so the euro's not moving, the pound's not moving, so it's US dollar buying, Aussie's going to go up. Sorry, Aussie dollar buying, the Aussie US is going to go up, the pair, and so on. So gold, the same. If people are buying gold, then yeah, it's going to pop up. But if they're selling US dollars, that's all going to pop up. But if they're buying US dollars, then gold's going to go down. It doesn't, and that's all the movement at the moment. It's all centered around that US dollar, stimulus, flooding the market with US dollars. What's going to happen there? Elections. So there's so many things that it's just so many things. It's just everything's factored around that US dollar at the moment. So, like I said, we've got a big unwind last night. Let's look at the overnight markets. You can see that's the S&P opened down through support, straight through support. It's gone into another big bid zone here. So, that's the channel I've been watching for a while, pushing up through the all-time highs, made new all-time highs, nearly a double top, and we're starting to fail here. It doesn't mean that we're not going to hold up here. We could easily hold up at 32.40, say, these lows through this bid zone, hold up and rally again. Doesn't mean anything. Just because we've broken down here, it doesn't technically mean that, you can go sideways just as easy. You can be range bound for the next year or so between support and resistance. And again, like if we said, if they start pumping out US dollars, it's a clean sweep of the Democrats, expect them to pump out US dollars, expect that to find some support. People just follow the same path. Unless something else happens, unless there's a massive wave and it just catches everyone off guard. Like the last elections when Trump won, it was just a massive wave of buying. So everyone would be trying to work out what does it mean, who, and the numbers. Is it a clean sweep? Is it not a clean sweep? If it's not a clean sweep for the Democrats, then there's probably going to be issues again. They're going to go argy-bargy between coming to terms with a stimulus, and no one wants to make the other side look good. So they do everything they can. If they believe, say, if it's Democrats win, but it's not a clean sweep, Republicans, if the Democrats want stimulus, they'll say no. If they don't want stimulus, they'll say yes. To me, that's just the way they work. Everything for votes. Just to make the other side's life hard. So if it's a clean sweep, I think it'll be good. Pressure the US dollar. Potentially, you can get some support into equities because of that flooding of US dollars. Devaluing the US dollar is always good for their economy, especially for exports. And a bit of support back into equity markets, especially now that we've had a big flush lower. But again, if we don't get that, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Dow, same sort of scenario. We've gone up to the highs. These are the all-time highs, basically up at around 29.6. This resistance zone up here, I thought they might get it with this push up. Didn't. Basically come down and reset, rallied again. So that failure off that top means two things. You're either going to, because what you've got this leg up, broke with this move down. And then once we get a retest of that high and failure, that to me is your double top, your retest fail, I call it. And then you start getting shoulders to work into, which we've had back a few days ago. And then we got the big sell-off. So if it's coming down to support now, it's either going to find support here and it needs to lift from here, or we're going to blast through it. We're going to blast through, potentially retest it and fail off at it again and have a deeper correction. So there's a lot of juice on the upside. We've got a 4-hourly chart. With this big sell-off, there's a lot of juice that could easily come out of that market. And look, we got that same sort of thing, retest, went through the highs and then failed from there. Potentially we're getting failure up there again, but it's all got to do with this level. If it doesn't hold up, and I think I would expect, I don't be surprised if we flush it tonight and finish back above or finish back up. But I would expect that to sort of hold, considering elections. What do we got? Thursday, Friday night. A couple more sessions really before elections, and there might be, that could hold strong. Same with the S&P. This level, this zone through here, potentially holding the Nasdaq, is still these lows. It's still a while off those lows, which is going to probably drag the S&P down as well if that sells off much harder. But they still got, I think there's still a few companies, I don't know who's reported, Amazon, Facebook, and all that. There's could be some more tonight that would be supportive. Basically, of the companies reported in the US, I think about 80% of them have reported above expectations, but the US will generally undershoot what expectations, mark them down in a way. I guess if they think it's going to be up 40%, they'll say up 25, just to make sure that they do. So if they don't come up 40% and are up 35, they're still beating expectations to give a bit of a lift to the share price. So I think they normally do that. It seems most companies, but they're actually down. The earnings are down on previous reporting. Are down. I don't know what percentage, but the data's in there somewhere. So even though a lot of them are beating expectations, we still had a bit of a sell-off. It's just a good old-fashioned unwind, if you ask me. It's not, just because they beat expectations doesn't mean stock's going to go up. Because it's had good reporting doesn't mean they're going to go up. It's kind of that easing. There's bigger picture in play. All right, crude smash down. So in a minute we'll just start looking at the Hang Seng. We'll get into that. Alrighty. So just seeing where we're at. Okay, so what do we got here? Crude oil knocked down last night. So they had two things weighing on it. Obviously, pandemic, going back into lockdown just means, if supply doesn't move, it means less demand. The problem is last night, I think they were talking about US inventories coming out and showed a production had kicked up, and so which means, there's more supply at a time when there's going to be less or potentially less demand. So crude just got knocked around on that. It is down on that support zone around 37. I think it was 37 or thereabouts, 37.50. So we'll see. And you've got a massive resistance zone through here at 41.70 or thereabouts, which has held lower highs on the way down. We're coming out support. It's extended into that support. So expect some sort of reaction. This leg down, we've got to start to, maybe some sort of pullback off that level, and then maybe you get a bit of a flush up, and then you get smashed again. But I guess it's got to do with what happens in equities, and especially lockdowns. What's going to happen in Europe? Those cases are going up. Is it just France and Germany? Is other areas going to go into lockdown? I don't know what the UK is doing. I think they're just going on restrictions. US, what are they going to do? Don't expect anything before elections. Maybe if Biden comes out, if he wins, what's going to happen with that? If he wins, then there's a chance that they get locked down again. We'll see. All right, so we'll probably take it. This is a bit of a bid zone. It was a bid zone. You can see it's reacted in there, launched off it, retested it, failed, retested it, failed, retested, and then just burnt. It's times like that. Just take note of when the market. Let's just draw that up. You've got market retesting off sort of that bid zone. So it's quite a clear level or zone where people are going to buy it up off, or they're expecting to buy it up off. Once you press down to it, you fail, you fall short. There's a lot of times it can fall short, and then you're expecting from that, because it's run back up to the highs. Most times it's run back up to the highs off that level. So people are expecting to go, oh, it's a strong market. It's fallen short here. It's going to run back up to these highs. Fails there and plows straight through. So a lot of the times, and it's the same when you go up to, say you've got a resistance zone there. The market's had an extension back up, and it's a clear resistance zone, and the market starts doing something like this. So people start to sell into it, thinking, oh, it's a strong market, it's a lower high, but then a lot of the time it can consolidate. As long as you, from my mind, as long as you consolidate, so that leg up, sort of the top third of that leg falls short of the resistance zone, a clear resistance zone, consolidates around the top third of that leg up. That makes sense. I don't want to draw. You know what I mean. So you sort of you're breaking the thirds each move. One. So when a market has a leg up, just wondering if that is on. So you have a market has a leg up. Generally, if it can only stay within that top third after that projection up, it's quite a strong market. And if it starts to lift and it's just below that zone, that's when I would expect something to blast up and through, because people will sell it here, and then there's no stops up here. So what you're going to do is taking out these lower highs coming in, there's enough oomph to jam it straight up through that resistance zone, because you know that's going to be stops just above. A lot of the times, if it presses up and starts to pull back, you sort of expect that to fail, and then get a lower high and fail it off that zone, because it's already flushed those stops. And if it flushes it in one foul swoop with one move up, that to me is more you're going to get a reaction off the zone down, if that makes sense. So when it falls short, anyone that's been sold, sold it early or sold it, I don't know, into this level and thinking they're quite good at the moment, they've got to stop above because it's a clear resistance zone. I go, if it breaks that, I'm out. And if it does consolidate below it in the top third, generally in the top third of that leg up that's taken it up into that resistance zone, a lot of the times that can just project straight up. I mean, it could jam down, but a lot like this, you've got that pressure down. It's a little bit different. It reacted quite high. It's gone into a support zone, failed to get there. So buyers are starting to lift it, expecting that another good push up. Starts to fail a little bit lower, as a lower high, and then just jams straight through it. Whereas previously it's come down in the zone, reacted off, come down, reacted off quite well. That makes sense. So that's sort of a structural thing, price action thing that you can take note of, especially intraday. It's good to see intraday. So I probably should. Oh yeah, I'll clean it up. I'll just clean this chart up. Sorry. So in saying all that, just what I was talking about then, if we start to bounce and consolidate, we have a bit of a grind up of this leg down, that could be enough to take us straight down through that 3660 zone, through the support. And then you've got this massive, we'll go out to go the 2 hourly. Basically, you've got the leg down here. And if you use that as your volatility projection, you could easily expand that down. There's going to be a lot of stops under here. There's going to be buyers that have been buying off that zone, trading the range, and there might be buyers that are just buying it off here, trading the range again, getting a bit excited. So there's going to be some stops jammed under that, just below, which could easily get triggered and create that sort of vacuum to suck it down again. And then from there, you're just looking left to see what zones you could have. You got one in here. Where it's traded off before, it's reacted off there, so potentially that sort of comes in line there. So I'm expecting potentially, just looking at that, that push to 34 from 37, which is not going to do too well. And then after that, you've got a zone lower, and then it could be a bit of a free fall. So we'll see. I mean, that's going to be in the back of people's heads too, that what happened last time, the market got smacked pretty hard. Okay, so well, let's get on to the Hang Seng. It's going to open in 15 minutes, so I just want a quick look, see if we can get something on today. It's probably going to be tough going, even though you would expect some volatility. The markets, actually, the Hang Seng hasn't been too bad. It didn't react too bad last night. Let's see where we are. So Aussie market's gone. So we've just taken out that level. So I was thinking here of going long, and I don't like this kind of structure. This is why I've struggled a lot to trade that SPY. It's extended here, this minor pullback, and it goes again. I mean, it's for me, when it gets below that whole moving average, I tend to turn negative, even though, I'll look for some sort of corrective action. It did bounce off the 20 and the 50, which is really a good sign, the way it rejected that blue 20 exponential moving average. And then you've got a little minor, if you can see it, level in here. Just mark that up. That's sort of your risk. You box it up there, break the top, risk is below, and then it grinded up. And then the only thing I was looking for was the break of that level to see if we can flush out some stops. And it's done that. Whether it continues on from here, it could do what it did yesterday. Gap down on the open yesterday, and it was pretty much one-way traffic from there. I won't go and find it. And it's been looking pretty good at the moment. Okay, so Dow, we'll see if it's trying to react off that zone, but there's quite a bit of The thing is, there's quite a bit of juice on the short side that could easily get squeezed out. I would expect, like I said, more of a complex correction, but yeah, we just have to wait and see where that plays out. You need a lower high in here, start pressing down. We might, like I said, jump up to this zone, 26,820, and see if you can work something off that zone. But I'm trying to stay away from shorting against the trend or buying against the trend. More trying to, let it play out. I want the MAs to roll. Let's just show you, start of a trend. Once it start to fail, you've got potentially in here, little zones in here. You might trade short somewhere in here. If you can get a short off in there, big rejection higher, start to fail, you got a little level, as you can see through there. That's where you want to be shorting. Double top, retest fail, but it's all with trend. All right. And then potentially that's what I'll be looking for in here. What time was that? That was last night. So there's that action there. You want to trade retest fail, like I was saying, they call it a double top, whatever you want it. That retest fail there, you got your shoulder. I'm trying to stick with those basics. Shoulder in here, with trend, 20 and 50 down, it's looking to expand. You don't know where it's going. You've had a little, that's quite a quick trade. When it's initial expansion, you've got more of a, as soon as you get this lower high, you anticipate that it's going to take out this high and you're going to get, so that's a move down and then you get lower high. You expect it to take out the low and then potentially something like that, or it's just going to back and fill. Okay, I'll do that properly. That's your leg down, retracement. You get the low high coming to play, like we've seen on the Dow and the SPY just before, previously. And you get a push up through this lower high here, off a higher low, but the trend is still down. And then you don't know what's going to happen from there. You're sort of expecting maybe some back and fill. You might turn around and retrace all this move down. You don't know. But when it fails off that level, that retest fail, and then you get your shoulder. Shoulder's more confirmation that you want to call it a double top. Like I said, we call it a retest fail. That's going to fail, and then you got your shoulder, and then you're basically going short because you know where your risk is. You're still with trend, 20 and 50 are down. I like to be below the hull, HMA, and then you're trying to ride it down. Like that one didn't go too far, but you had a bit of retracement back up here, shoulder again. Oops, if I can draw that. Shoulder action again just in there, and that failed a bit better. You got this big retracement and just flushed out a few people. So, it's all about managing your risk after that. Once it goes in your favor, where's your risk going to be? Potentially below the lower high. Sorry, just above the lower high. You got squeezed out here, booked some gains. Here, the pro for me would have been somewhere around there. You got squeezed out, re-entered short. So it's a matter of just taking those piecemeal trades. So basically, you got squeezed out here. You probably, if you could, I've got an entry a bit higher. So you've just made a bit of extra gain there. So you've taken a bit of that, chunk of that, potentially got stopped out, at neutral or around about that. So you can see that from a structural perspective, just trying to go with the trend pays out better. So I tend to have a habit of sometimes going against the trend, especially if I miss it. If I miss that down, I'll be looking, I want to buy it. And it's more through frustration and seeing these moves happen and not being a part of it. So that's something I've got to be careful of. Well, I've got to be careful of anyway. So let's go to the Hang Seng. So from here, we'll go to the futures because all this action here is just a CFD. So the futures have been closed. They haven't reopened yet. They open in 10 minutes or so. That was the close. So the price was down here, give or take around that zone on the close. So that CFD is flushing it out. We tend to be coming back down to that zone, back down to the area. As long as we hold below that 24,425, I think we will, because that's a lower high. So that could mean that, if we just open up and we're just below that, we could flush it. And it'd be interesting to see whether that flush leads to a rally or is a flush and then a pullback and we lead to a bit of a sell-off. If you go to the futures longer term, this is the daily. So this is a 2-hourly chart anyway. That's the trend. That's futures. That's broken down. So, we found some resistance the last few sessions up at this, what's that, 24,920. I'll type that up. Just holding my cold coffee. Okay, so you've got had resistance there, and on the daily, if you, I don't want to do that, just go to the daily. You can see it's probably a bit clearer. A little lower high here, pressure down, we come up and retest it, flushed it out, and then we start to fail there again. Don't know why, there's two different levels. All right, so on the daily, it looks a bit like that. Okay, either way, we're breaking down now. Okay, as of yesterday. So if we go back to get onto the 30-minute chart, so that's the action, that's the breakdown. So whether we pop back up and we're retesting where it broke out from yesterday, 24,553, it's a couple of 100 points up from here, from the close. So it comes down to these little inside levels, that inside level there. So what I'm really trying to do is just mark up where you could see some action. Right? We start to break up. If we break that and you pull back and you hold a higher low, the Hang Seng can just go sometimes. And that's the hard part. You see it, if it's going to go, it could just ramp up and it doesn't give you a chance to enter long. And then what I do is just extend that move until it starts to fail. So there's no reason why this move here, we can't get some sort of pullback off it, a bit of a contraction, as in move back up, and then we're looking for a short term, a lower high to come into play again, potentially something like this, big flush up, and then something to sell into. But we'll see. I mean, it could flush, and then it might be quick, but that's sort of the level. If that holds and we start to open and we head south straight away from here, that's probably got to do with the index, what the index does at 12:30. But we'll see. So that's the level we've got marked up on the CFD, which is probably just below there now. Yeah, it's about there now. So that's that same level. So if we break that, we could get a bit of back and fill. So we'll just wait and see where it opens. But this, like I said, that's where it closed. And that's where the Hang Seng was trading at 7 o'clock, so 7 p.m. when the index itself closed. So that was the futures. They were, it was down after that. So they were holding up okay. And then that's when I think Europe actually was down. So where did they open up? On the 5-minute chart. So 4 o'clock, that's when it reopened. It rallied. It's come back down. So it's held onto those the gains from the index. So it was basically flat. It held there, and then it sold off because Europe was already, I think, 7 o'clock Europe opens now. I think it's 7. Now they've gone into non-daylight or out of daylight savings. I think it's a 2-hour difference. So it used to be 4 o'clock the futures, and then 5. Then 5. Once we changed over, it was 5, then 6. Pretty sure it's 6 o'clock as the futures open, and then 7. So when they open here, they basically gap down. That's why it's the Hang Seng's been driven down as well. So realistically, we're looking at say 650. We're now trading at under 450, so 250 points down. So that would lead you to believe we're going to be down a bit on the index, given we're just waiting to see where the market opens. So say 250 points or thereabouts from around 700, 450, isn't it? So somewhere around this zone. Let's just mark that up. At this stage, we're looking to gap down in the open. So, once you gap down, is it going to be gap and go? As in it gaps down and it keeps plowing down, something like we saw here, gap down and just kept going. You'd expect initial bounce. There's going to be some bargain hunters. It's just whether they get overwhelmed by some sellers later on. So, yeah, let's see the action. We can only wait and see how it plays out. All right. So it's a couple of minutes till it opens now. So it's back there. It's basically heading down to where it closed. The futures. So if you're trading the Hang Seng out of from, was it closed 6 o'clock to 11:30? Anytime there, you got a massive spread. But I got done on the spread. I forgot about it. Traded the CFD. I was short. It was about break even or so, or just slightly behind, and it flicked over. It stopped me just because of the spread wide. And I went, oh, I forgot all about that. So tagged me on my stop. I think it was going okay for a while there. I was just tightening up a bit. So normally I have 30, 40 points risk, and it nabbed me because of the spread, which I wouldn't even hold it. And that was at 3 o'clock. So normally three to four wouldn't hold it because the futures are actually closed. So they tend to go stop hunting. You see if the guys will just go playing around, moving from one side to the other, just chopping people around, and that spread's big enough where it gets wherever the midpoint is, the spread will widen from 2.5 points to 15, another 12.5 points roughly either side. So if you've got it within there, which I was pretty much done. All right. So any questions, you guys? Anything? So you got basically closed, isn't it? Yep. Just give me 1 minute. All right. Back, and it's just going to open. There we go. That's not. Can you still hear me? Am I coming through? Yep, coming through there, coming through there. Pretty sure. I want to reopen that, don't I? Is it not coming up properly? It's done. What's that one? So we're roughly, it's trading around. Thanks, Nathan. It's trading around where it closed. So the futures, when that kicks off, I've only got delayed data on what's it called? Um, Trading View. So it may, we've opened and popped down. Could be attacking some of these lows. Wish you can get rid of that data. Let's wait and see what happens. So I'm just going to get up the 1 minute chart too. Keep forgetting that. Just getting pushed down in that support zone. Yeah. Some days these charts just get all frozen up, don't they? Just pressing down those, just flushing out those lows. So that's the overnight low there. Taking that out. Well, I'm assuming we have. Right, so where's the close? 6 a.m. I said, didn't I? Basically this candle there. Just mark up this one as well. So we haven't traded up to this zone yet. We've just opened, basically went down through that low. Actually, that's not even low. That's the flush. So we flushed this low here. Okay, so we could, we could bounce from here. But the momentum is, it's falling. It's got stabbed down a bit, so still going. Things seeing it's so tempting, it's just dropped 3-7, over 140 points to 30 points straight down just from that candle dunk. So it's tempting just to look at that and go, on the 1 minute at least. On a short, I'm easily tempted though, but Dow's hovering around that zone. Oh, I don't want to delete all that. Just clean it up while we're here. Takes my MAs instead of what I actually wanted it to take. All right. So Dow potentially, longer term, what's that? It's a 50. Let's just add a So you got the 20 above the 50. So the market's curling up. It just depends whether this, we might play our down like through it, sort of expecting a jam through. It might just sit off there. We might consolidate and have another go up. You got the Nikkei looking a tad heavy at the moment, but we're just holding off these highs. It depends if we start to hold this level or find some bids off that level, we might chop around. It might lift again. I sort of feel that we've obviously come down pretty hard in the markets. Um, Let me just check that. We start to consolidate around here. It might just be a bit of a pop up back above the night's lows. Just here. It's not really something I want to go long anyway. The problem with this, we're going to open in, say, 5 minutes or so. We could be just chopping around here, looking for the Hang Seng to open weak. So this is suggesting that we've dropped, what's that, 364 down to 264, another 100 points, which would suggest that 350, just make that bigger. 350 is sort of the bottom end of this, which could gap down quite significantly. Of course, if the Hang Seng doesn't make back some of that, which it could do just now. So to short that, I think we can get some back and fill. Hang Seng can do anything. It's got to let it play out. Anyone trading at the moment? So there could be. Let's see what the index looks like. Keep forgetting that. So these MAs, this is the biggest problem with having this extra data in here. The MAs are running off this data, not into the close. Whereas if you go and look at the futures, and same stuff. They're down, and we're holding. Now, where did we plow through to? About another 100 points down, wasn't it? So it's down into these lows, I think it was. Is that right? Yeah, we're just trading below those lows at the moment. So I'm jumping around here, but we just got through those lows, which, yeah, the MAs are still down. Let's quickly mark up. I haven't got those levels on, have I? Thought it would keep those, but obviously not. So at the moment we're just hanging around down below this level. Sorry, Nathan, I just saw your. But if I go short, you'll probably be right. I think you're just trying to see if it we get a bit of back and fill here that could roll over from there, but you want to see if it can hold. It's just pushed down through those MAs. MAs are still down. From the opening data anyway, it's come straight back down. So there's another 30 seconds open. God, I keep flicking around here, but right, so what are we expecting down? It's gone. All right, big bounce. Well done, mate. We got no price in the Hang Seng. Market open. This shouldn't be delayed, so I don't know why. Why is it not working? All right, so I don't know what's going on there, but it's also obviously bounced a bit there. Nice. Would you make a bit on that? 82. It's a big pop, so it's like they're Hang Seng. Not understanding why I'm not getting that live data. Been live every other day. Is there anything else I need? care, it's not connected. All right. So I just don't know why it's not. Forget about that. It was straight off here. It's just retested the open. By the looks of it. Sorry, mate. I do that a lot. I think everyone does, don't they? I guess you know Devon, don't you, Nathan? Um, you're asking. I'm notorious for exiting too quick. Just see if we get a bit of follow through down through this low. I was going to get soaked up off that level. The momentum's still down. It's just whether it can roll. Oh, it's taking a bit of a nosedive. But I might go short in here. Where's my chart? So this is a bit. I want to see more action. I don't really want to see it starting to get supported here. You can see the way it's moving. It's a bit. If we just hold that, we might need to flush higher again before we get enough juice to move back down. Yeah, you got a good open though, which is nice. So we could be just pushing down to 280 and holding up. So what I'd like to see ideally is if you can sort of pop up, retest the high and fail, that would be good. So I should have gone short, but so the EMOs are starting to roll. I wouldn't mind seeing something hold up here again and then Still not showing any prices. I'm going to probably just plow through those lows, which should be. So I like these moves when we're going, come down at a good retracement, which is fine. That was probably the short, but I'm trying to see, I want momentum to be negative with the trend, to go with that trend. I think it's going to break down. I just don't feel like it's ready just yet. Of course, it's attacking these lows, so anyone that's been long off that low would be sitting there going, oh, hang on a sec. Just flushed them out on the 5. So this 5 is going to be at the finish. When looking at a lot lately is flush a level like that, you don't finish below. That's, we're probably going to get some upside. We might pop. So if we sort of hold in here, see the momentum's start to tick up again. It's down on the 5, which is fine. So the trend is down on the 5. Just trying to see if we can get together an entry short. Ideally, want to see, this is sloping down. I want to see it hold. So we probably get down 366. It might be a goer. But it might not. Okay, so it's not going to happen. So if we go up and retest that, so got this inside level, we might retest there. So it looks like it's not ready to, if it's going to, a little pop. So yeah, it's consolidating that high. We could run up on the Nikkei. SPYs. Don't like the SPY. Not as partial to it as the Sun. Sort of got a bit of a W pattern here, which, we could, that flush there, we could just get straight up through that. This might take a bit of time if it's going to roll. If it's going to roll. You start the new candle, you get this chop, red candle, that you get a green candle and a red candle potentially. Just starts to chop around. It's not trending at the moment. It's not really. Just short a small amount here. Oh, stops above that candle there. If I get it off, actually, I'll just hold off on that. This might be a bit of grind, and then we might pop. Sort of, this is what we were just talking about before. You've just come up near the high. We stalled. We grind down, and we hold. You can see the MAs are coming together. So the 20 starting to rise. We're above the 20, just above the 50. We start grinding here. We could pop and take out this. Where to from there? Probably just back to the highs, 91. So it could be 40 points if it rallies, but you've still got the trend down on the 5, trend up on the 1. Place your bets. The 5 would be the bigger picture. 1 minute chart's just your sort of scalpy moves, but if you can get on the right zone, so if this is going to roll here, you're trying to find that right zone on the 5, trading off the 1. It's going to have another pop. Look at that 1. So we're getting closer to that. We'll see if it flushes and finishes below this level. So I wouldn't be taking that break there, or not long here, I'm not short, probably just confused. Just be wary that if we do, got about another minute or so of this candle. So I'm sort of expecting it to pop above that high, and then we might have another run at the lows. So above there now, we're just going to continue. So they're pressuring it higher, which is fair enough. Trying to squeeze out, there'd be a lot of shorts on the futures. What does it say? Hook up a broker. It used to give us the index price. No. This looks like it's attacking these highs here. Trying to flush those stops out. Just be careful this doesn't take a bit of a nosedive from here. So we flushed out the low of the day overnight. We're attacking those highs from overnight, or coming into the anchor anyway. So flushed it out. I don't know. I mean, if we hold that level, pop through that level, we pull back and hold it, then it could be looking to new highs. Either way, that's a bit of a mess. So we're up about here, aren't we? Just reversing off that high there. This is delayed. This is 15 minutes delayed, so we've sort of chugged that way up here. We should trade on the back of that 15 minutes delayed. On the previous one, let's just take a look. Okay, so we're just bouncing off that low, are we? Interesting. So it was somewhere around that level there. Reverse that. So what I'd like to see ideally is a lower high in here. I think this could be just something like this. So on the 5, we're pretty much had a little push down, a bit of contraction up. So I really want to see if that can line up a move down. I'm just looking at that little fake there. We could just go through these lows. So I'm shorting up down there. That's not my usual setup though. So if we go through here, I'm going to short it through 52. Oh, maybe not. If we can hold the MAs are just crossed. So what we've had is a move down, pop up, retest, a deeper correction. It's trying to make it move higher, isn't it? Not feeling the love on this. Still getting soaked up there off that sort of inside level. Probably be short of that. Yeah, mate. Okay, I didn't short it there. I just don't like the look of. It should have been. If it was going to go, it was going to go. So if we hold in here, there's a chance that we pump up through that. Now that we just flushed, there would have been people looking at the shoulder there. If we're just holding that MAs, momentum's still, well, I'm looking at the MACD for momentum, it's still sort of at the zero line above. So you're sort of technically looking for buys. MAs are up, 20s above the 50. It's just the whole is kind of capping it. There's no reason why we can't just jam it like that. It's just the way it hasn't gone down. I'm feeling it's going to be a squeeze higher. So going long here. It's turned on me, isn't it? It's got a launch up, doesn't really want to now. Suck them in. Oh, I'm out. Big rejection there. Which way are we going, guys? Still think we'd have a nab at the highs. So Dow's just touched on, it's rolling. Nikkei's actually doesn't look too bad. Might have to have another nibble at this long, but looks like it wants to go. But it's still getting held there. I'm long again. See if this one can kick off. So we can blast through these highs. It's a good extension. Oh, reversed again, are you? Oh, it's not very happy with me today. can hold in here and rally again, it could be good. Oh, that's good to see. Just need to get through these highs, really. Not feeling the love. Still, I want to see that 5 push higher, take out those highs. Go here, we can just get through. Let it through 70 something, come on. Otherwise I'll be closing. No. Still relatively flat, and the MOs are flat, it's fighting it out. I think the 5 is starting to be out of this. Can't rip up from those lows. No. Such a mess of a market. All right, 2 from 2. That makes me feel good. Still waiting for that 5 to get up through here. Doesn't it seems to be getting protected at the moment. You watch this thing. Now that I'm not on board, it's bouncing back again. Where are you? Now where to go, are we? I feel like we're going to expand that high. High lows are holding here. Go along if that kicks off again. Third time lucky, eh? long. That's just suckering us in, or me anyway. Get up through those highs. 18. All right, plow it through those highs. So I'm trying to see if we attack these highs and just get through. Yeah, I'm not liking this again. It's just not playing ball. Ah, it's go out of there from here. It's just chopping people in and out by the looks of it at the moment. We're having problems up at the day's highs, or the previous highs, overnight highs, sorry. I'll have to bail on this one as well. Just not letting it go. Oh well. Probably take a nosedive from here. Gonna have to bail if it low goes. Come on. Oh, I'm out. No go again. So we're getting, it looks like a lower high in play. This market's just struggling up here. It's just not, it's not set up really for me at the moment. Setups are just going nowhere. So down and everything's looking right rubbish, but not doing anything. We could be just, we've had this secondary push up, potentially lower high, but it's not confirming. And the best of times on this old Hang Seng. Yeah, we'll pop. So what it'll probably do, where are we? I'll get this high. So I'm buying at the highs at the moment, selling at the lows. It's enough to flush me in. Still weakness coming in, so could be this an expansion of this 5 and we go. It's pretty heavy on this. Just rejecting, so they're still So the last few days it sort of flushed out low and just continued higher all day. So still, it comes down, this candle would break down that low. Probably gun shy of being long at the moment. And now when this data's meant to come in. So it's getting sold every time it pops up. It's getting bought up every time it goes down. So whatever, go at these lows. It's pretty much flatlining here, isn't it? Game short. It's enough of a shoulder there. It's just got to move. And it's not. I feel this could break down. Still soaking it up. Dow's falling. Nikkei's falling. Hang Seng's got to go with it. Looks like it wants to move down, but gonna get done. The biggest problem now is just really trying to hold up through here. Bloody short, long, short, long. Frustrating experience on this. Mm. All right, I'll be out. I'm out. This is getting a bit. Alrighty, so it's just a horrible day at the moment. Weakness all around. So the weakness is obviously just at night. It's not during the day. The market wants to be held down here. So the fact that it's holding through here, we've got the lower highs come to play. Uh, It looks like it's going to break up, doesn't it? You buy this extension, it's bound to pull back, isn't it? Now we're heading south. So Nikkei, it's struggling up here. The Dow is it's backed off, but the Hang Seng's. I just wouldn't be surprised if the Hang Seng, the way it's looking, just holding. I thought we were breaking down here. Generally, when you start holding below those MAs, you start to break back below the hull. It's just flicking straight back up. It doesn't seem. We can get any sort of move. Might have actually bought. Well, if it gets down here, support. Is this going to lift, or is this just a bit of a fake out? You grip that FOMO, like if this is not a fake out, it's going to pop. Alright. So MACD's starting to turn positive here. Thinking long could be on the card soon, but alright. Feel like I need to be long. Don't think the market wants to be long. So if we hold here, we could just flush straight up through 05. Feel like it could go. Yeah. Just can't get along there now. I might have just sucked in a few longs again. Literally, even though there's a couple of had a couple of trades, it's been trying to trade the edges. It's just not working out. See you, mate. Cheers. I'll probably flick off in a second anyway. I don't feel like there's going to be much happening, much action. Still feel that that could be struggling up at these highs and struggling to break down. So who knows kind of trade. All right, guys. I might have to shoot off. I'll probably call it a day. It's not so great. It's not looking too great anyway. So we could break down here, but you know, MAs are up. It's been gradually climbing. Is it the edges or is it just sort of something that's going to slam back up again? This doesn't look too crash hot. That's the problem. Still, it wants to hold. All right, I'll call it a day there, guys. Thanks for joining us. Any questions, feel free to send an email to support@tradesetup.com.au. I'm going to call it a bit early. I've got to do a few things anyway, so when in doubt, jump out. All right, guys, I'll speak to you later.